Alright, so we're going to start the tier list. Obviously, 75% of you guys are going to hate this tier list because for some reason you think these gods are better. But I'll give my reasoning on why I think those characters are in what tier they are. Because of counter picks or the amount of counter picks or building or new items or all these new things that are in the game. I'm telling you, from a Grandmaster level right now, I'm a top 20 Grandmaster player. So we're going to see what I think is best and what I'm going to put in each tier list. So we're going to start with Achilles. Achilles, we're going to have to go with, I think he's S. I think the biggest thing about Achilles, he has an execute, one that only 3 other characters have, and the other 2 characters aren't sustainable and kind of risky pick. And where Achilles is he brings what he brings to the table every time: CC, damage, frontline, sustainability, sustain, and an execute. So I put Achilles in S tier. Agni, I think Agni is an A plus. I don't think he goes to an S just because you can't kind of pick him you can't pick him every time. He could be counter picked if you put him he could be counter picked if you put him, you top 2 pick him, right? Odin, people that catch his dash, people that get onto him fast without letting him dash away. And you can play his dash really easy as well. But outside of that, what he does bring to the table is a ton of damage, CC. And I think he's one of the best characters with a new spell. With a new item where you ult and you don't have to wait on your ult. You kind of always have it, right? Because you have bombs. And you kind of, every 60 seconds, you know that you have that extra dash or extra 2 or extra stun. Like, every single ability is really good with that new item. And I think it's a really good fill spot. 10% CD, 110 power. It's really nice. On top of, I think, the new ring makes them really, really, really good too. Updated Shaman's ring. It gives him really high power, 10% CD, and on top of that, his passive goes great with Agni. So I think that's where he should be. AMC, I think AMC still is at an A. I think he moved down a little bit with his base damage being lowered, but I think he still does what he does, right? He still pushes lanes well, still does a lot of AoE damage, but he can still get picked really easy. But with the base damage lowering last patch off his abilities, I think it lowers him a little bit because what he does best is lowered. Not an insane amount, but still lowered. Apuash, I think Apuash is like a B, because he could just be killed whenever he wants. In the sense, he could be dove by almost any comp. He needs a certain type of comp to live and be really good. He needs like a very good initiator. He needs a very good peel, and on top of that, he needs really good control. He needs a lot of things for Apuash to work, and that's why I think he should be in the B tier. He doesn't just do what he does regardless of the situation. On her right now is an S. Why is he an S? Is because he's obviously you guys have seen him mid a lot in competitive, but outside of that, like, he's really strong with a new item. He's probably one of the better characters with the new crit item. I always forget the name of the items. What's the new crit item again? Fail not, whatever. And he does it really well because when you pop your ult, you're gonna continue autoing, and you're gonna have amplification, meaning you can crit more often. On top of your one amplifying your crits, so you're critting for like 600 plus. You don't need look. You guys want to know something secret? The problem with fail not build is that you lag pen right early, unless you go like Aussie or something. But even then, you still lag pen because by the time you have Aussie, Transcendence, Boots, and fail not, it's already mid game to late game. It's already like 22 minutes. Unless you're farming really, really well. And that's where Honor really kicks in because he has a passive that drops your prots. So that's something to think about, that I think that's why Honor is so strong right now. Because you go Hui, right? Or you go any other auto attacker and you're like, oh, you feel kind of weird with Phil now because you don't have crit. You do have that 20%. You do have that. I'm sorry, you don't have that pen that you would normally have. Because that's where it fills the spot of Exy, and it's a pretty expensive item. So something to think about why Honor is so strong right now. I think is in the 8 tier. Why is she in the 8 tier? Because she does what she does it doesn't matter about the comp. She fills that spot. She has some CC. She does pull beads with ult usually. She does have a great aura, and she scales later into the games. And games are going on a lot longer now than they were before because there is no just end the game. Phoenix defenses are a real thing right now. So is fire defenses. So I think the biggest thing is Ama just does what she does. She gives, and then she's that big aura late game, which a lot of games are getting to, if used properly. Especially also helps with objective clear. Anubis being in the B tier, I mean, he exactly pretty much in the same upwash spot. He needs to be enabled, and for a character to be enabled, you already drop a bunch of tiers because you're forcing a draft around you, and that forces them to be a mega niche pick. AO's in, I would say, in the A plus. Now, it depends kind of where you're going with this, right? If you're going ranked or competitive. If he's ranked, you can throw him up maybe one tier higher, maybe S. But if competitive, you mix competitive and ranked together, because I'm doing both right now pretty much. A plus is a good spot. He fits in. Why? Because he still has, all right, so they nerfed a couple of rings, right? Which touch him a little bit. He still does the power. He still has that extra attack speed. It's still all good in Gloom. But to keep it real, movement speed is the best stat in the game. And so that being taken away from him hurts him just a tiny bit. And when it comes to diving comp, you still need to build comps around him. The problem with AO is they can't initiate, right? If you can't initiate, it means you need a guardian and a soul lane that can initiate, and you need a lot of CC. AO has no CC. You also need bead poolers, because if you have beads all the time, that means AO can never really pop his execute. So you need a couple things around for AO to be really, really strong, the way you've seen him. But you know, for him, you can usually pick him and do a ton of damage, and most comps have a little bit of CC, so he fits in okay. Aphrodite is an A. I would say she does good. The only thing about her is, like, where do you put her in lane, right? Like, where do you lane her? You lane her solo, that means she's kind of useless for the first 16 minutes. Her blue could be invaded. It's a free experience change. It's a free experience invade. You could put her in mid, but she's kind of awkward because it means you have to follow the jungler around, meaning less efficiency on the XP. And then you could put her support, but then she kind of just dies in support role unless you get late game, really late game. She gets some items online. So, with all that said, I think Afro sits in A because you don't know where to really lane her. Laning her is kind of hard if you're talking about competitive, right? I'm sure some of you guys are going to be like, what do you mean? Just go solo with her. You could just go solo and just farm ever like 20 and get your blue buff and just chill there. Yeah, but then what's happening on the other side of the map? Solo laner's rotating, and Achilles Vemana's rotating, and Gold Fury, you're sitting in lane. Yeah, you're getting experience and farm, but you're losing the game. And last time I checked, SMITE is about winning the game. So, Apollo, I think Apollo's an S plus right now. Alright, wait a second. I think I'm gonna toss on her S plus. I think Apollo's S plus there as well. Why is Apollo S plus but haven't been seen as much? That's a good question. I don't know why we haven't seen him competitive more, but I think because of his ult being so good, like, if you think about the last patch, think about what they did to the ult. It procs your passive pretty much if you hit every tick. So that procking your passive on top of your ult procking fail or not, think about the DPS you get when you ult on someone. Your DPS, literally, you probably go 3 times your DPS when you ult on someone because everything complements the ult. And so, obviously, you got the patch, any ability he does procs a passive. With him, proccing passive means you don't have to build full attack speed, full AA, because the other abilities proc the AA, so you can go more of an oriental, high damage, lifesteal build, or even crit if you want. So, Apollo, I think it leaves Apollo in SS. Arachne, I'm going to throw her A. She got nerfed, and it hurts her. Her heal got dropped her base stats for the heal, so she's not sustaining as much. And I think that was one of her biggest problems. Like, you just see, you think you can kill the Arachne, right? You see her like really squishy, you see her health bar really low, but then she just like goes over, hits anything. She just one hits and she's like full health again, and that was a big problem. Her sustain was insane. Plus with Assassin's Blessing, she just walk in, get a camp, come back with like 80% health. But this problem still is she has to chase someone down. The problem with her is still you have to chase someone down. You do need some lockdown. You do need some peel. You need space with Arachne, right? Arachne needs space to perform. And what I mean by space, I mean like a tank zoning, a guardian zoning, a guardian performing really well and making a lot of the attention go on them, so Arachne can really kill the backline. And so that's kind of a problem. Kind of the same thing with AO, right? Needs space, but AO does a little bit better of what a normal jungler does. Fulfills that damage roll a little bit better. Has an execute. The ult for Arachne kind of just to get away. Rarely get in. And that's my reasoning. I think Ares in an S plus right now. They obviously buffed him really, really high with the fire doing more damage to minions. And so that's a big thing. I mean, Ares has always been the one of the better gods in the game. The only problem was the fire. The clear was horrible. You fall behind every time, in levels. Even though that still happens now when he's jungling, but that's because other junglers just like Pele and bots can just jump over walls and get to farm faster. But Ares still clears as fast as those junglers, and he brings a ton of pressure, and he makes you change your draft. That's something that's very undervalued. He makes you change what you want to pick, because you can no longer pick a god with no CC immune all, even if it fits the comp perfect, and things like that. So that's why I think he's amazing. I think that's why he's S plus with Apollo and on her. Artemis goes in the Artemis is a questionable one. From my experience with Artemis, the thing about Artemis is that she dies, right? Like, that's always been her problem. She just dies in team fights. But she, with the way competitive is right now, dual lane is left alone, so she can kind of farm. But she's always a free gank, and that's why you have to leave her at B, because if you have beads, it's a guarantee kill, right? She's not going to turn and burn you. She needs the CC to turn and burn. And that's will always be her problem, positioning. It's really hard to position this character. Artemis was made like a long time ago. And with that being said, like, every other god has a jump, every other god has a leap, every other god has a dash, every other god has those, and Artemis is left behind with none of that. So it just makes it harder to play the character. And I think in a tier list, something that you should prioritize is how easy is it to hit the max ceiling of that character. Arshio. I think Arshio has always been an S character. I mean, yeah, she can be focused, but she always has so much in her kit that it doesn't matter. She fits very well. She's a amazing flex character, between solo and support. And she brings the CC, the cripple, like, she brings everything. There's only a couple drafts that counter her, and outside of that, I think she does really, really good. Excuse me. The base kit is just inflated, but she does die very easy in some situations. I think Athena's like an A+. Athena being an A+, the reason her being an A+ is because I think I'm gonna have to move her to A. I think she's strong. She has global presence. That's an obvious. Right now, the way the meta is, her items are still pretty good. The ult complements well, right? You land and you have a shield. I think she can be moved. She can be played in solo. She can be played in support. She can be played in jungle. The only thing, if you play her in jungle, you kind of need to build a draft around her. But if you throw her solo or support, she fills in that draft pretty well. So I think A is good. A Willix goes into the A section. Why? It's because Willix is always going to be a niche character, right? It's not something you pick just because you need a jungler that does damage, right? She's only good into knockups, obviously, or this certain comp where she can't be focused. And so Willix kind of stays at A because she can't be A+, because she doesn't fill that jungle role very easily. She's very niche. And she doesn't go B because even though she is a niche character, when she is needed, she performs really well. So those are something to keep in mind. Bacchus is the B2. I mean, sorry, an A. The reason I wouldn't put Bacchus in A+ is because his initiation is very obvious. He doesn't bring a surprise factor. The only surprise factor he does bring is a lot of damage. That's why you wouldn't throw him in the B, because as a support he still brings a lot of damage. But he brings a lot of he brings good peel. He's really tanky. It's between A+ or A for me. He is a character that can fill the support role. We just don't see him that often, you know what I mean? But he does fill it well. He is a tank. He is an initiator. He is high damage. He has CC. So you ask yourself, why don't you see him more often? And he does go really well with the build. The only thing is a little mana hungry, but you can buy one item and that's solved. Especially with all these new items giving MP5. I think I'm going to have to go with A+. I think just because I haven't seen him doesn't mean that he shouldn't be an A. I mean an A+. Bakasura has dropped off a little bit, and he's gonna drop off even harder, with the new item changes, taking away his movement speed on all those blades, which is kind of what made him really strong, right? Disengage whenever you want, power farm, and engage when you want. But with those changes, it's gonna hurt him a bit, leaving him in the bleed. I don't want to leave him in C because Butcher Blade's ult combo is nothing to play with, right? I don't know. I think I'm gonna move Anubis down just a bit. I think that's fair. I think they're C characters, and I think Baka's more of a B. I kind of found like a more of a middle ground here, filling it out the tier list. All right, Baron. All right, so Baron, I feel like he's a pretty decent character. He does have lots of roots. He's pretty hard to kill with the ult. He always displaces someone. I think Baron's in an A. I was thinking about A. I mean, sorry, A plus. I was thinking about A. There's no way I throw him at B. He's way stronger than those characters. I don't think I throw him at A because he just, that ult is so good, right? It has a possibility to pull beads, 2 beads. Has a possibility to isolate someone from the fight. And you don't know who, right? That's a problem. It has a surprise factor. Like, you start pulling people, 1 beads, and the other one doesn't know if he wants the beads, and the other one doesn't have beads. So you end up like, it flusters comms a lot. And on top of that, he has great sustain, undervalued sustain in my opinion, and decent damage and good control. I think we just leave him here. I think he could even battle for S, but I think I'm gonna leave him at A plus. Bastet's Pepega, part of the cat clan. And the one ugly zombie. Bastet is always gonna have the same problem, right? She's a very niche pick because she brings no setup and doesn't initiate well. She doesn't only initiates well early game. The problem with her mid game initiation is that she has like no setup, no stuns, no knockups, no nothing. And the biggest problem of her that will always be the biggest problem is her cats die in 1 second. Any nuke, 1 nuke is all they need for the cats to die, and that's a problem because that's your main ability. You're waiting as 60-second cooldown to drop these cats. Yeah, she has split push, but it's not even that good. The cats just die, so we're gonna have to leave her right here and see. No control, very niche pick. She's a very niche pick, right? But Wilkes' ult is way better than Bastet's ult, so it drops for 2 tiers. Bellona, I'm thinking more of an A character. Why? You can't put her a B because she has great CC when it comes to ult, whip, and especially with double hunter mana being really good. Whip is undervalued. So that in general just makes her an A character. Now we think about negatives to Bellona, right? Negatives to her is that she sometimes can be ignored because the way they're building her right now is like super tanky. And she can be ignored, right? She only zones like 1 person, and she can't really full commit to kill him all the time. But her positive right now is that she does pressure lane very hard. Pressuring lane very hard means more blue invades. More blue invades means more opportunity for Gold Fury and pressure plays, which evolves to a lead. So she's between here. I think I'm going to leave her at A because I think there's other warriors that does what she does better. Cabrakan's an interesting character that we don't see enough of. I think he's actually really strong. I think he's really strong right now because, I mean, he just has 2 forms of CC. He has 3 forms of CC if you want to include Tremble. And then his wall off. And he has insane burst, and he can build hybrid, and he can fill that slot of jungle support solo because he has so much control. I think he's just undervalued. I think people just don't pick him. Especially with Blink being so strong and Relic Dagger, I kind of want to throw him A plus from what the character is. The only problem with Cabrakan is his mana, but then again, he has MP5. There's so much mana and so many items right now. I think we'll leave him at A+. I think he's very undervalued. I think he's a sleeper pick. I think people only pick him in certain situations, but I think he has more of an open situation than a lot of characters. He can fill, if you need CC and tank, he can fill in support. If you need CC and tank, he can fill in solo. If you need CC from the jungle and tank, he can fill that role. Like that CC tank role, that is very important in Smite because a lot of characters have a lot of damage, but not a lot of characters. If you look at the characters, right, not many warriors, lots of mages, lots of hunters, lots of assassins, but not that many guardians or warriors. And the guardians that can fill a spot like this in the jungle role, no one does. Like very few characters do it as good as Ares right now, and maybe Athena. I think Bracken does a better Athena in the jungle, depending on the comp. So I'm gonna have to leave him at A. Camazotz is in the C tier as well, man. He just does nothing good. He just does everything very average. He has very average damage. He has very average sustain. He's decent in solo to counter the King Arthur, but with King Arthur falling out of meta, it makes Camazotz fall out a lot too. I wouldn't put him at C. I'd put him at B probably with Bakasura. Like he'll dominate lane with his sustain, but then how do you transfer that? You need a lot of damage. You need to be very ahead in gold. If you're not ahead in gold, the character is actually useless. Now, when you think about a tier list, you want to think about a character that's good in most situations, lanes, pick, ban. Those are things you have to think about. So like Kama being, very situational, countering King Arthur, pressuring lane and hopefully getting ahead, but the only time you perform is if you're very ahead. And when I say very, I mean very. You can't just be ahead by, if the other warrior is even with gold you're actually behind with Camazotz, if you ask me. Alright, we're gonna have to go with Serb. I think Serb is really good, and I think he stopped being played. I don't know why he stopped being played, but I think he's very good. I think to perform with the kit is pretty simple. Right? The only thing that's a little bit of mechanical is the 1. But the 2, very easy. Does a lot of damage, shreds protections. His passive is really good, undermined, especially with all his healing being in the game. His jump got buffed, which now you can jump over walls and a lot farther. His ult is really good, pulling beads most of the time. Unless you have a character that's CC immune, knockup immune. I think he's good. I think he just stopped being picked, in my opinion. I think he's an A. He kind of fills that same spot as Bracken. Haven't been seen a lot, but still very good character. I don't think he jumps to S because I'm trying to think why I wouldn't put him in S. I think because his stun is not. I think because his stun is not guaranteed. I think that's why I would leave him here. CERN is an A+ too. I think he fits like, all right, so you're in picks and bans, right? And you're like, okay, give me a hunter that just does a lot of damage. We have a lot of peel, we have a lot of CC. We just need a hunter that brings damage. This is the character you're looking. This is one of the characters you're looking at. So he's that hunter that fills that spot. He's like, yo, just give me damage and give me objective control. This character does that. Not only does he do that, but he has a root, very undermined root. It roots for a while. And he has an ult, polymorph CC, that can zone and or change the team fight, in my opinion, if he hits a good one. Where if you look at the other hunters, not a lot of them have that. And Phil now complements his ult as well. And the meta of builds complements him as well. So we haven't seen him much, honestly. I haven't seen him certain much recently, but I think he's still a very good hunter. Especially with Fauna. I think I'll leave him at S. Chalk, I think I stick at B. Maybe B or B+. I think I'll leave him at B+. He's a little bit better than Kama. He does a little bit better than Kama late game. But Chalk has always had the problem, right? What's the problem for Chalk? Why can't he go A? He has no fucking control. He has a bunch of slows. And yeah, a bunch of slows are nice and all, but when it comes to late game, you need control. Chalk is not the guy. Chalk wins lane 90% of the time, but then what does he do with it? He rotates over and slows the mid that just dashes out. And that's the problem with Chalk. He can't confirm kills. He can't confirm setup. He can only confirm that he's gonna win lane. And that's my problem with him. And his passive is kind of poopy, especially with like I said, all these items having MP5, all these items having mana, him having blue buff all the time. His passive is just kind of poopy. So as a character as a whole, he's not that strong. Chang'e is pretty good. Every time I see her, she performs pretty good. She's annoying to kill. And if you don't kill her right away, she's going to sustain your team. She's going to do things like hit 3-man, 4-man ults that can change the fight very easily. While we don't see her all that often, you don't want to put her A+ because she takes a while to get there to late game, right? And she can be punished early. But you don't want to throw her B+ because she does bring control. She is very annoying to kill, and she has great sustain. So I think A is pretty good for her. Chernbog, I think is at he's at an S, I think, as well. S or A+. I think S is the reason I throw him A+ is because he does perform well with the ult. Because he gets so many buffs when he ults onto someone. He does have a great global. And he does have a good immunity and a root. The root isn't that easy to land all the times, but you can hit it, and it could be a multiple root. A good Chernbog, yeah, I think Chernbog is S. I think Chernbog is an S. Chiron Imbo A+. Now the question is if I want to throw him into S, but I think Chiron is nutty. He is one of those carries. He's one of the only carries that can do damage, and I'm talking about a lot of damage from far. Not many carries can do that, if any carries at all. Rama is one of the only ones I can think off the top of my head. That's it. Through walls, and then and he has a cleanse. He has that little early game sustain that people hate on, but I think it's okay. I think it's fine. I think it does pretty decent. And cleanse, slow, and a good, and one of the best dashes in the game, if you ask me. Very simple, but it does a lot. Yeah, I think I'll leave him at A+. I don't want to throw him here. He's not using Fail Not. You don't like Fail Not on him. And Fail Not is the reason these hunters are so strong right now. Yeah, that's fine. Chronos got hit. Fuck, I wonder. Can someone remind me? We'll leave Chronos over here for now. What was Chronos' changes again? I know I talked about them. It was movement speed slowed. Movement speed got nerfed a bit. And then what else? All the rings don't have movement speed, so he's not flying around the map at all. What was the other thing? Is it just movement speed that got nerfed? Nerf movement speed, that's it? That still leaves him at an A+. Movement speed Chronos? Not movement speed Chronos. That's pretty much it. He just jumps 3 tiers. Why? Because movement speed, like I said, is the best stat in the game. You can disengage when you want. You can engage when you want. You can split push. You can dodge abilities. When you think about Smite, every damn ability is dodgeable. Well, most of them. That's what the game is built around. You can't click on someone and just use a spell. So that's why Chronos was so annoying. But items got more damage. Yeah, but I think he's still in the A+. The movement speed made him jump tiers. He's still an A+ character. He's between A+ or S. How much movement speed was it? Anyone know the numbers? I think it was off the back end of the two, right? So he has initial, but he just runs less at the end, I think, if I'm not mistaken. He's a lot more damage. Hey, I understand he has a lot more damage, but it doesn't change the fact why he was SS. 25 to 15? That's a lot. It's 10%. That's a whole item. I'll leave him an S just because of his rewind. His rewind is like one of the best abilities in the game. Rewind and his stun is one of the best abilities. I think I'll leave it here. S is fine. He could be an A+, but I think in more situations he would be an S. Choo Choo. I played a full attack speed Choo Choo recently. It was funny. Choo Choo. He's A+ or A. The only thing is that he only has one root, but he does have an insane knockup. I think I'll leave him at A. I think he is pretty underrated. I think people haven't been using him, but I think he still does what he does. I think the knockup ult is still very annoying. He does pressure. You can play for blues. You can play for rotations. You can proxy with him because you kind of want people to come to you and fight you when you're about to rage, which is why you proxy. Proxying being pretty important right now for Gold Fury pools. I'll leave him at A. I think he's good there. Cupid, I'm going to go a little bit faster. Cupid. Cupid, I think I'll leave him at a B+. He's very good, but very niche. Why is he very niche? Cripples. He cripples. That's really good, but you need a lot of dashes to cripple. You need a lot of reasons to pick Cupid. His hearts are a little bit underrated. His dashes, easy to read, though. And then his one being confirmed stun with 5 hits. Cupid is very niche. He sticks with the Willix. You have to leave him at B. He's very niche. You don't just pick him because you want damage. You don't pick him just because you want a hunter. You don't pick him because you want a mid hunter. You don't pick him for that reason. You pick him if they have cripple. If he's a last pick and you see lots of dashes, Thoth, Terra, then Cupid is very good. But until then, you don't really pick him. So him being like very isolated to being a niche leaves him there. Dodgy, underrated right now, I think. Very good beats pullers. Doesn't have CC herself outside of the ult. Very good damage. Just her early game is really bad, but her late game is so strong. Her early ramp up is really weak because her farm is pretty slow. And you have to like... Yeah, I think I'll leave her at A. A is a solid spot. I think A feels like a very average god, like a good god. Average to good. A plus is like, alright, they're better. They're like top tier. S plus is one of the best gods. S is like one of the best gods. S plus is like the best gods in SMITE. SS, do you want to use SS? I feel like S plus is enough. Daji is poo? No, she's not. You're tripping. She's one of I think she's one of the best assassins late. She's like a top 5 assassin late game. If you ult and hit 3 people, you have done your job. You have literally done what a lot of other junglers can't do. Think about Circuit. Think about Mercury. Unless you hit a 3-man Mercury ult, but that's way harder than hitting a 3 dodgy ult. You can pull tanks 100%. You force ults. You do a lot, man. Dodgy's a B now. There's no way. You can't put her with Kamazots. You're ridiculous. Oh, wait. I think my food is here. Hello?
Hey, what's the good food?
I'm going to text you right now. She one-shots? Yeah, she does one-shot. She can one-shot. She does lots of damage, and she can 3 on you. She can follow you. That's one of the things that people don't understand. Like, late game, if you are isolated, you will die. Thor still has to land his 2-1 ult. Thor still has to land... Circuit still has to land a double kiss or a kiss 1 auto-cancel ult. Naja has to land the ult. Daji presses 3 and 1s for you. You're dead. Let's speed it up a little bit. Discordia. I think Discordia is a niche pick as well. She's very average in everything, right? She doesn't do a lot of damage until super late game, and she has to hit big boy combos. And to be in position to hit those big boy combos sometimes can be tough. But her ult, very easy to dodge. So it's not like guaranteed damage ult, which is very important from a mid mage. It's between A or B plus. She's nowhere. She's a B. She's very situational. Like, if you told me, yo, let's pick a mage that's strong in mid, I'd rather pick Merlin. I'd rather pick Vulcan. I'd rather pick Raw. I'd rather pick Jean Kui. The passive is good. Your carry gets more damage. Whoever's top damage gets more damage. That's nice, but is it enough to pick her when you need a mage slot? You need a strong mage. I don't know. I wouldn't pick her. She wouldn't come to mind. I'd rather pick a lot of other things. She's average. She's a B plus. Erlang, this broken fucking piece of shit character, man. Is he the only one that's SS? I feel bad even throwing him up there. Piece of shit, God. He does everything, man. He's so bloated of a character. He's so bloated, so bloated. His pin does a lot of damage. AOE, it roots, easy setup from far. Doesn't need to be out of position. He can carry, he can jungle, he can support, he can solo, he can frontline, he can hyper carry, he can peel, he can do whatever the fuck he wants, and that character will be strong. And that's the problem. You can first pick him, and you'll never know what he needs to know. He one shot, he shreds, he setups, he does everything, and that's the problem. Sustain as well, exactly. Yeah, he's broken. I don't know what Hyros is waiting for. Is for fucking God to come down and be like, yo, what's wrong? Fafnir, speed up a little bit. I know I'm taking a little bit, but I just want to give you guys a lot of reasoning why these characters are where they're at, because a lot of people like to complain on tier lists, and I mean, if you have a complaint, I'm sure a lot of you guys are gonna have complaints because you're gonna be like, oh my god, no, dude, I love Cocoon. I'm the best with my shit on people in Clash. Oh, the A plus. How's he not? Yeah, that's the reason I'm making sure to take my time and explain why the character is where he's at. But yeah, so Fafnir, I have to think A plus, right? He's an amazing support. He brings that late game. He does objective control. If you're mechanically gifted, which a lot of competitive players are, he just sits. He's so good. He's so strong. Disengage. Engage. His jump is fast. His CC chain is nutty. I think we leave him at A plus. I think he's one of the strong. I think we leave him S. I want to leave him S. It's between A plus or S. And when I see Arshio here, I think Faf fits that role. It's like, yo, we need a support with a lot of CC. I think Faf. And then you're like, oh wait, he also helps us in this, and this, and this. And you're like, oh shit, wait a sec. Faf's actually pretty sick. So yeah. I think Faf is there. Fenrir is sitting at A with Dodgy. I think this was a simple click for me. Clicking. She's not an A plus because cripples destroy him and you can't top 3 pick him. So that kind of, if you can't top 3 pick the character, he kind of goes to the niche. Now when you think niche, you think of Willix, right? But you can't put him here. Why? Because he has an ult that can pull tanks out. And while Willix has that as well, you have to guarantee the knockup. Fen does that regardless. If you say, yo, Fen, CC that guy and bring him here, you can do that. Willix is a little bit more difficult. You need to knock him up first. And getting that knockup sometimes isn't easy. You can get out of position doing it. A lot of things can happen. Now, why you wouldn't throw him in the A plus is because you can't top 3 pick him. If you top 3 pick him, you know he's going jungle. He's not going support. He could go solo or jungle, right? But most of the damage is on his brutalize now, meaning you have to, for him to guarantee his most efficient damage, it takes 5 seconds or 4 to 5 seconds to get all that damage off. 1, 2, it can be interrupted. 3, it probably will be interrupted. And that's the biggest thing. So his main damage can be interrupted, and that's the problem now with new Fenrir. While yes, he's still a good jungler, now he's strictly a good jungler, still a problem. Because his damage can be interrupted. Think about Dodgy 3-1 combo to Fenrir jump 3. Hers is way hard. It's instant damage. Fenrir takes time and can be interrupted. And that means his double abilities to get out have been invested. So I think he sits right here at A. Yeah, A and probably could be a B+, but I'm going to leave him at A. Just for the fact that he can bring tanks into the... He can make tanks feel position differently and not want to initiate as often. He does make you think that it makes you have that subconscious thought as a support or solo. Be like, oh wait, I can get dragged at any point. Freya, I don't know, bro. Freya gets changed every patch, man. Honestly, you can never tell where she's at. I think I'm gonna have to leave her at kind of B. Her damage, from what I've seen, is very low on minion waves, but that's what made her so strong. And like the extra pulse damage isn't really that much. She doesn't do that insane damage, and if she doesn't do that insane damage early mid game, she actually isn't that strong. Yeah, I'll leave her at B. She's really that strong. Ganesh, I think, is a B+, a clean B+. He doesn't go to A. He stays at B. Why? For him to be strong, you need You need to silence things. You need to silence important abilities, right? Characters like Fenrir, like Daji, but any insta-cast, any characters that just cast their abilities and do damage, Ganesh just feels really weak. But if he's able to silence things, I think the silence part of Ganesh is the reason that he's either very strong or he's very weak. Because he does have CC, and he is a pretty good damage mage. But then you ask yourself, why don't you just pick Bacchus if you just want damage and CC? I'd rather pick Bacchus, which is confirmed damage. You're not going to miss the ult. Not saying you're going to miss Ganesh ult. Oh, thank you, brother. Appreciate it. You can leave it there.
You want to leave it out there?
Yeah. Thank you, bro. And so the biggest thing is like, yeah, so why don't you just pick Bacchus, right? You could just get the CC and damage, and it's more guaranteed than him. Bacchus is tankier. And he has a confirmed 3 stun. I feel like the only reason you would pick Bacchus over Ganesh, right, Ganesh over Bacchus, if you wanted to fill that support damage role, is because Ganesh has a lot of things to silence. And I think that's the key factor on why you leave him at B+ and not anything lower or anything higher. Geb. Geb is a clean A+. You don't want to throw him A because you feel like, dude, Geb is just... It plays itself, right? Geb plays itself. If you shield, ult 3 people, knock up 2 people, you did your job, right? It's very like... To hit the ceiling of the character, you feel good about it, right? If you're like, yo, I want a defensive support, you automatically think Khepri, maybe Sylvanas, Sobek, Geb. But which one does the job the easiest? Geb. Right? So that's where I think Geb fills that sweet spot of an A+. You don't want to say A because he just does that job so simple. He just does it. You need to be a bot to miss things. I mean, I've seen bots do it before, but you need to be a bot. And we're talking about competitive and high ranked here. Geb is really fucking good. I kind of want to throw him at S. I'm not even going to lie. But I'll leave him at A+ for reasons being that if he does fall behind, he can't just be... He can't just die over and over. But even then, Geb just feels so good. Because you fall behind, right? Every other support feels like, fuck, like, shit. But Geb has % damage on his ult. His shield is still really good. His knockup is still really good. And he has a way out all the time. I kind of want to leave him right here for defensive supports. If our shield's here, Geb has to be here. I feel like. Yeah, I think I'm going to do that. Guan Yu. Guan Yu is S or A+. Very undermined god. Very underthought about god. Insane sustain. Good damage. Prot shred. And hard to kill. And he wins laning phase unless you have something to interrupt his 3. I think we go S with him. Yeah, his counter healing hurts him, but I mean, you're investing in counter healing for a solo laner. That's already feels good, man. I think Guan is underused and undervalued. Hachiman. Hachiman is one of those hunters right now that just feels super good. I think he just sits right next to Anhur. Undermined is not a word. Is it not? I thought I heard that before. I use it all the time. Alright, so we leave Guan here. And S plus Hachiman. I mean, it's very simple. Hachi does everything you need. He's not SS. He's not SS. SS is broken. I think her name's broken. If you throw him here, it feels awkward, right? You're saying this character's broken, but he's not. He's just super strong at everything. Hades. I think Hades is a little bit undervalued right now with what he does, but his kit is so obvious. His kit is like so... Like, you could avoid his kit very easily. That's the problem with Hades. You could be the best Hades player in the world, and your kit literally is the fucking formula. It's literally the bread, the meat, the cheese, and another bun. That's what Hades is. Very simple. I'll leave him at B. Hebo's an A+. Why is Hebo an A+? Because if you kill Hebo, you gotta hope that he didn't kill your whole team while you killed him, and or yeah, that's pretty much it. He's gonna do damage eventually. Like he's gonna one shot some people. Even when you commit on a Hebo, right? You're like, okay, I'm gonna commit on this Hebo, hopefully one shot him. If he uses bees and ults you, now you're a target as well, right? There's not many mages that will, if you pick them off, they will destroy. Like they're gonna do something back. It's kind of like the Zhang Kui too, right? You don't want to commit on a Zhang Kui. Why? Because if you do kill him, he's done literally 40% of half your team's health, right? Undermined is a word. All right, so we'll tell Aaron to report himself. And I think with these new builds that I think Panda started, I'm not sure if Panda started or Paul started, but the breastplate start is actually genius. Breastplate with Book of Thoth makes you very hard to kill. And then what does that do? It gives you a fuck ton of mana. You know what you do with that mana? You turn it into a shield. And that build actually makes them very nutty. I see them pick Hebo. I'm like, wait a second. Hebo's not that good of a pick. But then they just do that build and they just seem unkillable and do a lot of damage. I think I'm going to leave them here. Hell's an A. She's niche just like this character, this character, this character, this character, right? Niche meaning like counter pick. Like she counters some picks. But the problem with her is that counter healing is so strong right now. If she does get ahead, but if you're a smart team, right? And if she does get ahead, you just build a lot of counter healing, and then if she invested in a lot of power, she's gonna die very easily, and there goes a lot of their gold, right? A lot of the gold invested is because Hell power farms, and so all their gold invested into their into their carry just goes away literally 2 spells. But they're doing a lot of this build right here, where the Hebo build, the Hell build, the breastplate into boots, into Book of Thoth, which makes her pretty strong. But I think Hebo's a little bit. Hebo's a bomb, you know what I mean? Like a nuke. Like Hell, if you kill Hell, she might do a little bit of damage, but not Hebo damage to you. So I think A is a good spot for her. Hera. I think the buff to Hera is low-key super strong. I think I'll leave her at A as well. Why? Because they buffed the 2, which helps her early game, and I think her early game was a problem. Her late game is always really good. She's really hard to kill with double shield. And I think mages that are taking advantage of this late game build, which is Book of Thoth into breastplate. She doesn't need breastplate, but Book of Thoth into the shield is really, really good. And I think Hera does it really well because she obviously already has her shield. So I think I'm going to have to go with A+ or A. I think A is a cleaner spot. A+ seems a little bit too strong for Hera. She still has the problems of nobility. Hercules. When do they build Book? They build Book first item. So I think Herc is just, he's a solid soul, right? You want a frontline CC. Frontline CC. The only reason he's not a B+ is because his support is so good. His support is so good because Aurora made it good. But the playstyle, a lot of people can't do it. And what I mean by a lot of people can't do the Hercules support is because a lot of people don't know how to keep the pressure up and not fall behind, right? Because you're investing so much time rotating that you end up falling behind. And if you fall behind as a warrior support, you are very useless. And the Guardians just outscale you. That's the problem with this. But Aurora mastered it. But just because Aurora mastered doesn't mean it goes up to a higher tier, you know? If one person can do it, that's their thing. I think if you think about the average rank player, I think A is a good spot. He can run support. He can run solo. And he can run jungle if you want to. But his jungle is a little bit weaker. He falls off in farm because his CDs are so long. His solo is pretty. He does what any other solo laner does. Maybe a little bit more damage. Maybe a little bit more tankier. But he falls under that counter healing part. So I think A is a good spot for him. Horus. SS. He needs a nerf. I want to leave him. It's between SS or S+. It's kind of questionable. The problem is disengage is just so fucking good. That 3 ability is so broken. He engages and he's never out of position because he has his 3 up. I think that's something that is something to think about. I think I'm gonna leave it at SS. I think his 3 is broken. I think his 3 is broken. Hou Yi. Hou Yi sits a little bit under this tier of hunters. He is still very strong. He is still very strong with the fail or not, correct? But he does lack pen. Even if he has his 2 to help him, he does lack pen regardless. So that's a problem. Because you go, even if you go, right, you go Transcendence, Boots. You could go Aussie, right? But then you get fail now really late. And then by that time, you need Xe because these frontliners are zoning you. But you still pop your 2 on them and you do percent damage. I mean, I don't know, man. I really like Hui right now, man. If it was up to me, I'd throw it on S+. But I'm trying to think of like other Hui players that are playing him right now. I'm trying to think about like how they're performing. I just feel like the jump is readable. The jump is readable. And for him to perform really high, you need to be hitting a lot of bounces. Big boy bounces in the early mid game. Late game is more about just positioning. I'll leave my S just because you need to hit the bounces. Unbots I throw in the S as well. He's always gonna do what he's done, and the reason he's not A+ is because of Relic Dagger buff. Complements his kit so pretty. Isis, this is buffed. I mean, nerfed Isis a little bit, right? 20 to 25%. 20 to 25%, right? Was it 25 mitigation to 20% now? Does that really nerf her that bad? I don't think so. I think she still does what she does. I think the shield is still really good. I mean, she's easy to kill though, but you're gonna have to invest a lot. I think I'll leave her at S+ for now. She could be an S. She could be an S, but I think S+ is a little bit more fair to her. I think in some situations she is an S, no doubt, but I think in most situations she's S+. Izanami B. She doesn't do anything good. She just does a lot of. She pushes well, high DPS with popping her 1, but that's it. I mean, very easy to kill. Very easy to read dash, in a sense. Take damage, destroys her. She's niche. It's like when you say, "Hey, yo, I want a carry that has high DPS." I think Rama. I think Stern. I don't really think Izanami. Janice got buffed 1 second on the clap, if I'm not mistaken. It helps some power farm. I think it's a niche pick, but I think it's a niche pick that still does really well. I think it's the only niche pick right now, and I'm not saying this because I'm biased, because if it was up to me, I'd throw him here, Kappa. But I think it's a niche pick that does the niche, the counter pick isn't a small percentage of times. It could be higher because it's movement. Mobility in the game is really important. I think Janus is undervalued. Plus his 2, he does power farm and it does do a lot of damage. I think I think he would have been this, but with the buff to the 2 would have been sick. Jingwei is S+, just because she's impossible to gank, and she does what she needs to do, which is damage and DPS. It's just simple. She's always been there. She's always gonna be there. As long as she has that ult, she can engage when she wants. She can disengage when she wants. As a jungler, you want to gank, right? Your opening is it's a gank dual lane, but Jingwei just, you look at Jingwei, you're like, shit. I have to pull her beads, then I have to play for her ult, and then I have to play for her dash, and I have to be careful because she crits. So those are some things you have to think about. Jormungandr is S+ or S. Very simple. Why not A? He could fit both roles better solo though, and in solo he's just very hard to kill, and he does a lot of damage. They did nerf him, right, in the recent patch. What is base damage on the 2? Was it on the knockup or the little gas things? He's still very strong. I mean, the ult is the biggest problem. He has so much interruption. His backline dive is really good, and he creates a lot of chaos in fights. And that's what a solo laner you want, you know? If you want, like, oh, I need someone that could dive the backline and make problems. Now, he wasn't nerfed. I think he was nerfed. They dropped scaling. Yeah, I knew they nerfed him. They fixed the math behind it, or they fixed something. Well, I don't know. Well, then if he's the same, then he's very strong. He's S. He's a great soul laner. Kali just takes very long to get online. I think she's strong though, but the reason I'm not gonna put her A as a solid pick is they nerfed all the blades for movement speed. Well, most blades, and that's a problem. And they hired cost on Hasten, and that's her key. That's her key item. And hiring the cost means a slower late game, and a slower late game on Kali, that's not what you want. So I think Kali just got hurt pretty bad. Khepri, shit, good Khepris. S. Shitty Khepris, D. A lot of the Khepris I see, D. But I think Khepri is an A+, no doubt. Now the question is he an S? I mean, it all matters. If you think about ranked gameplay, right? Khepri can be very good, but you just have to be on point with the ults. It's a character, it's how you perform it. This is one of those characters, like kind of like Janice. Like, if you perform insane, Khepri can be an S tier character. If you don't do your job, you literally look like a D. It's a huge jumps of tiers. But I think for the average ranked player of master tier and diamond tier, if you learn Khepri well, when to initiate, when to peel, he's an A+ character, no doubt. Now S is questionable because you have to be hitting big boy ults. I'll leave him S for now. I think Khepri, Geb are just up there in their defending. King Arthur fell off heavy, man. It's just the rise to counter healing that King Arthur just doesn't look insane anymore. Plus a little bit of the nerfs. They nerfed a little bit of King Arthur. The true damage. When I see him, he just looks really easy to kill. I'm just like, okay, I can kill this guy. Before, when I looked at him, I was like, okay, let me just turn around, save me some time. I think A is a good spot. He does dominate lane. He does dominate those 1v3 scenarios when he's zoning, but he can't with lockdown. He dies just like any other warrior, but he does do a lot of undercover things. Khepri, a top 2 support on Millsy's list. Yeah, but I mean, he might be talking about professional. I'm talking about because you telling me Khepri's a top 2 tier support. And you see the Khepris that I'm looking at in ranked, I'm like, dude, you have to know when to initiate, when to come out. You have to know when to zone. You have to know so many little things that change how the character looks. Kokokin with a new skin, SS. No, I'm kidding. I think I'm gonna leave Kokokin an A to B. He just does damage, but as a mage, I don't think of let's pick a Kokokin here when we need damage. I think he's a very average character. He's a very does damage, does slow, big ult, but if you don't hit ult, doesn't do much, so leave him there. Kumba is for sure A+. I would think S, depending on how you play him, but he is 100% an A+ character. He doesn't jump up to S for me because it's just that thing of knowing how to play the character. I mean, some Kumbas look like S tier characters, and then some of them look like C, is just knowing when to zone, how to support. But the character does play itself if you sleep and ult one person. So I think A+ is a good spot for him. Kuzembo is a niche pick, and I think he's undervalued. I'm gonna leave him at A+, and I think he's undervalued. Why? Because the double 100 mana with fail not means 1, you like pen, and you do have crit. What does Kuzembo love? Crit and lack of pen. So we'll leave him there. Loki's so dirt right now. Do we leave Loki a D? If we do put Loki here, I have to move down everyone. Loki's for sure D. Just doesn't nothing good. Literally nothing. Just pushes. He pushes, but then die. You can't one shot. You can't 1v1 anyone because it doesn't have the same damage. And so he just pushes and then just dies. Rather have an Apollo do that. Medusa's like a B+. She could sit at A. She's a very average character. She does damage, good carry, easy to kill, easy to read dash, but brings lots of damage and a CC ult. I kind of like Medusa's kind of like a Hu Yi, but Fail Not's better on Hu Yi. I kind of want to move either A or A+ Medusa. The reason I'm not gonna put her A+ and leave her at A is just because her dash is so easy to read. If you look at these other hunters, their self peel is so much better. Hui's jump so much better than her dash. On her 2, 1, and 3 better self peel. Hachi ult 3 self peel. Jingwei better self peel. Apollo Mez dash self peel. Dash knocks up. Mez lasts for a long time. You got to leave her at A. Fiona is pretty good on Medusa. It is, but her dying so easy is just a problem, a very big problem. Like I just mentioned, all the carries and why they're better than Medusa. Mercury getting hurt pretty bad. I think I'm gonna leave him at B. He got hurt pretty bad with all those nerfs. They took away movement speed on every sword. He was using some swords, and that nerfs his damage, you know, subconsciously or however you want to say it, indefinitely. And he can't use Fail Not, which would be a nice ability. His crit is he just has good CC and does pretty good damage if he starts off on a strong lead. But that leaves him at B, the niche pick. Merlin is an S+ character, no doubt. Tons of damage. The blink is great self peel, and if you kill him, he will do dots of damage indirectly. Okay, that sounds good. Hey, dash is a big problem if trying to escape with it. You gotta dash into someone trying to get away. Nah, yeah, but you can't. You that's a situational. You're saying on a tier. You're saying I should rate Medusa A+ because if you dash into someone, it is better. That doesn't make sense. You can't do that. Merlin's early game is ass. Cancel that. His early game is not bad at all. He does good damage. He has good clear. He power farms pretty well. Objective clear. I feel like Merlin takes too long to get online. No, he doesn't take too long. He does good damage at 5. I mean, he's not cracking anyone, but he's doing good damage. Neath is not good with Fail Not, which is why Hunters are rising. Easy kill, mid or ADC, and doesn't fulfill that late game carry like other Hunters. She's B. She sits there. Nemesis sits at B. Situational pick. Version quiz and whatnot. Her shield got buffed, but it doesn't change what Nemesis does. Her DPS is a little bit lower if you compare it to the other assassins right up here. Her damage isn't that insane. She needs items to work. And her late game, even when she does have items, she doesn't crush people. She just kills them at a normal rate. And she's still kind of a niche pick because why do you want to take off prots? Why do you want her ult instead of a CC initiating ult? So you ask. Naja, still an A+ character, no doubt. Got a lot of nerfs, coin toss, physical prots, ult. But still does what Naja does. That early game pressure, early game farm, early game setup. Late game she falls off a bit, but she's still very strong. Falls off, but she still sets up with that ult. So Nike was a bit overrated in my opinion late game. She still does kind of nothing, but her mid game is really strong and her passive is strong. But she does a lot more than she did before. So she does not here. This is where probably I would throw her before. But after remodel, she jumps up, what, 1, 2, 3? I think Nike's good there. I literally have a command for Naja for you dweebs. And I'd be like, oh my god, dude! Please say the right thing when you're talking about SMITE the video game, bro. It's a guy. Jesus Christ, I almost blew a cranium trying to figure out if that was a girl or boy, but I need you to call it a boy. Who gives a fuck? It's a fucking SMITE character. Nike's a little bit overrated. Her knockup is good. She's very tanky, very good frontlining. She's 100% stronger than before, but she stays at A+. She's no stronger. She's not an S tier. She's A+. Like, she's a good solo. Like, if I want a solo laner that zones, has good front line, I think Nike's good. So, alright, ban this dude. Thank you very much. Nox. Nox is always gonna be that character that is just like you need to hit all her abilities for her to be effective, and that's leaves space for her not being good. So I think she sits at B. A very, very situational pick. Not always good. I could throw her here. Nox is really annoying. She poses a threat as a niche pick. I'll leave her there. I think New Wall's a very average character. Why is she banned a bunch? Because she's overrated. Not Nuwa can do a couple things really good. Her late game is insane if she makes it. Her corridor fight is really good. Her push is really good. And she's 100% guaranteed damage. And that's something that's very effective in competitive and late game rank games. Odin's not D. You're nuts. Odin is an A or B character, and since I've been leaving niche characters as a B, I think it's okay for him to be B as fine as well. I think he's fine at B. I don't think he's an A because he's an ult bot at that point when it comes to late game, but if he does get the right comp, he is strong. Oleron is S+. I don't know. You can't say he's broken because if he had an escape, I would say broken, but he's a very all-in to defend the Oleron comp. But outside of that, he can still turn 2v1s. So Oleron is easily S+. SS question mark, maybe. He's nowhere. He's not an S, so he's 100% S+. He's really strong. He can defend himself. He can defend himself in a 2v1 very easily. He has good sustain. He has and one of the best ults in the game. Osiris. I think Osiris is an A. High pressure, good zone. I think the biggest thing about Osiris is just the high pressure, right? You say, hey, yo, I want to play around solo side. Let's pick Osiris. Osiris will bring that to you. He'll zone really well. Pele, I think Pele sits at an A+ as well. She just does what a good jungler does. I don't know. Actually, I think I might drop her to A. She seems a little bit weaker. She's a very all-in god. You don't really want that at a competitive level because you're just going to get killed right away. Her early pressure is still very strong. Her early game is still really good. She power farms. But then when she does get online, if she's not online with having a lead, she feels kind of weak. If you're online, right, and you're even with the other team, Pele doesn't, I feel like it doesn't do what the Naja or the bots does, or yeah, I don't think she does. This new god, should I tilt my YouTube? I should tilt my YouTube. Be like, yo, she's fucking dirt. She sits at B, 100%. She's just she's a niche god with an ult, that really good ult. That's it. That's literally what she is. She's a niche god. Think about her fight. I said this in my video when she first came out. You need to fight around her plants. That's a problem because that means if you force fights away from her, she's not gonna be strong. She's an ult bot at that point, correct? She ults and you won, and that's it. And then that's literally it. And then why do you want a mage like that, right? Why do you want an ult bot mage? If I wanted an ult bot mage, I'd rather have a pos, right? My opinion. For early game, she's a flat B. You think a B? Her ult is too good to say B though. Her ult's way too strong. Like, look at these ults and then look at her ult. It entraps and traps other people, so they're tangled to her. I don't know, man. It's really hard to miss. You can do it from far. It gives her long CC immunity. I think she's a B+. All right, my bad. I took Poseidon out. I didn't even say anything about Poseidon. Poseidon is She's really good in lane. That's what I'm saying, though. Like, yes, if you're fighting bots and you're like, yo, let me set up in mid lane, and I bet you they're going to want to gank me. 3 people jump onto your plants, and then you jump away and you get a triple kill. I mean, yeah, whoop-de-doo. That's not going to happen in a real game. It's not going to happen in competitive. It's not going to happen if you're playing bots. I mean, then if you want me to give you a bot fucking tier list, then we can do that as well and put her S+. Where'd I leave her? Where is she, guys? She's hiding. I don't see her. Oh, she's right here. All right. Poseidon, I think, sits at an A. He's a problem mid late game. He's a Kraken bot, and that's a problem because one Aegis destroys your team fight, and so that's kind of a problem. But like compare kit, right? Compare Scylla's kit to Poseidon's kit, right? Without ults. Scylla kit is just so much better, right? So much stronger. Root, cripple, massive damage. Poseidon 3-2-1. If you're really ahead, which you most of the time you are on pos power farms. right? But there's no way you can throw him at A+, right? I mean, if Agni is there, I feel like you could. You could throw him at A+. He's super strong, cripple. They took away some items with movement speed that helped him a little bit, but you didn't really build him all the time. Gem got nerfed a little bit, so he's as slow isn't as fucking vicious off the 2, which setups his 3. But the items I feel like complement him. Ethereal Staff is pretty decent on him. He carries the early game. Nah, I think I have to leave him at A, man. He's better than Janice. Better than new Janice. Is he really? I think they're both kind of nichey. He's an ult bot, and this guy gives movement around the map, like one-shot potential. They both want one-shot potential. He does have objective clear. That's a good point. He does. It's between A or A+. I think I'm gonna leave him at A, but he could be an A+. I feel like if you move a lot of these to S, no, I think these characters are S. Pause has a delete, so does Janice. You're talking about early game, but then it's just an easy Aegis. Try to Aegis a Janice soul and try to Aegis a Kraken. So those are things you have to think about. The only thing that's making me think about if throwing him up here is because of his objective clear. It's the only reason I'm thinking about throwing him to A+. His objective clear. It is efficient. It's free. It's easy gold furies and easy fire and portals all the time. Just because it's 3-2 slaps. Yeah, I'll say that because objectives. Raw, I think Raw sits here as well. A+. We don't see him much, and we haven't seen him in a while. But I think Raw is undermined. I think he's really strong. We haven't seen him in a long time in competitive. I think Raw. Raw just does what he does. He has heals, sustain, great for objectives, great for pushing, great for long range damage. Yeah, I think Raw is fine. Rajan is A, no doubt. He's just a great mage all around. He's kind of nichey. That's why you don't throw him here. Why would you need him? I mean, he kind of fills that role too, man. It's you need a mage with lots of damage. He fits that role very, very well. He does a lot of fucking damage. He has a good dash for reposition. He has utility on the ult. And I think the new items complement him so well. I think I lower Raw A and leave Rajan at A+. I think Rajan items, the new Rajan items, Shaman's buffs him heavy. Ethereal buffs him heavy. What else? That's it. That's all you need, to be honest. Those 2 buffs are just so strong on him. Rama would always sit at this S+. I think I'll leave him at S. Very S hunter. You think about a hunter that you need in dueling that lives, does damage, does late game carry potential, and farms, and that can do damage from far. So the niche about Rama and why you throw him over Medusa is because he can do damage from far, and he's way harder to kill than Medusa. Way harder to kill than Medusa. Rat is an A+ for sure. An A+ jungler. He fits that global. He's very tanky. He can be built different ways. I feel like a Rat could be an S, man. Rat can definitely be an S. He's always filled that role. He can build tank. He used to be a better Thor, but Thor does a little bit more damage right now. But now Rat is. The thing about Rat is his hybrid build, right? The hybrid build just fits so pretty on Rat. You just initiate, you get your 2-3 off, you stun someone, you probably get actives, and then you just disengage with your 1, and you're just like, oh wait, I'm full HP because I'm fucking tanky right now. I almost killed that dude because his base damage on his abilities are really high. I think that's a fine spot, and I think Ravana fits that good spot as well. Ravana just fits that spot. Like has a root, slow, and persistent slow, ult, double immunity. He's a hard jungler to kill, and he does put out good damage. He's a very fill-in jungler, right? Like you throw him in there in a spot where you're like, yo, we need a jungler that does damage. That's a great spot. Like Vemana fits that right away. We need a jungler that has a little bit of CC. He fits that spot too. Like the brute and the slow are annoying as hell, especially if you have CD. You can't get away from him. He's like Bats in a way. No, he's nothing like Bots. Bots is a completely different character than Ravana. Scylla. We haven't seen Scylla in so long, but I have no reasoning. I've thought about this for a very long time. I don't know why. I don't know why we don't see Scylla, but Scylla, man. Scylla pops off. Insane damage. I think confirmable damage. Cripple on the one. Crazy pens. Amazing late game. I don't know why we don't see more Scylla, but I mean, every time I play Scylla and I touch Scylla, I'm like, God damn, this character's so strong. I don't know why we don't see it. I keep picking and owning kids, but I don't know why other people don't see it the same way. She's not S+. No. She's S. I think she's undercover S. I feel like her abilities are too hard to hit. Nah. I mean, that's just like saying, like, Ice's abilities are too hard to hit. It's a big-ass circle. And a one that you can hit a minion by mistake and still hit the other person. Serketa S for sure. Serketa just does what she does. She's very annoying. She's confirmable damage, true damage, percent damage. You can build hybrid. Her hybrid is really good right now, with Blackthorn being involved. And Sile, she's a very hybrid jungle build, and that can take someone out of the fight usually. Her team fight is the only weak part, so sometimes you kind of want to drop her to A+, right? That's kind of what I want. Her team fight is weak, but everything else about her is really, really good. Set is higher than Erlang Shen, if you want me to tell you guys. If I could throw Set in an SSSS, that's where Set is. Set is broken right now. Why I think he's broken? All right. So my problem with Set right now is his 3, right? His 1 is low cooldown, that's fine. It's really strong ability. But the 3 has 15 damage, physical damage mitigation for no reason. Like, why does it have that? It doesn't need it. And his animation on disengaging there's no animation. You literally TP over a wall. You literally do Thor max range TP in 3 seconds less animation. And that means you can't cancel it. That means you're never scared to do it. You're never scared to initiate. You're never scared to dive. You're never scared because why? You have 15 physical fucking defense and 15 physical damage mitigations. Plus you can get out whenever you want. Not to mention that he has insane sustain with his ult 1 and his combination with his ult dropping bodies and his 1 puts him in that field of doing nasty damage while being full tank, which only what characters have. Herc is one of those characters that can have full tank and still do nasty damage. Set can kind of go full tank and a little bit of hybrid and still do insane damage. But Herc doesn't do that same thing that Set does. Scotty a little bit overrated. I even overrated her a little bit when with that new ult. But the thing about her, she still has the problem. What's the problem? She dies. She dies very easily. You could just get on top of her. So she's a very average hunter. You could throw her in mid kind of, but she's very easy to pick at mid camps. But if you are gas pedaling the other team, Scotty is insane. I think I want to throw her A+. Sobek, peel support, or very annoying solo laner dive comp. Peel comp and dive backline cause a lot of chaotic comms and interruption. Seems pretty. A seems pretty good for Sobek for me. Soul's B niche pick. Like if you don't need Ola, if you don't have Kronos or Olorun, or you don't want Merlin in the ADC role, or like a Hebo or something niche like that, I think Soul's like pretty okay. Like she pushes tower. Her ult is very weak to me, and that's pretty much the problem with her kid. Like she's good at getting away with her 3, but her ult is very lackluster. Wukong kind of sits. Damn, man. It sucks my boy Wukong isn't that strong right now, but he's kind of weak right now, man. He just doesn't feel like he does that much, like compared to the other warriors. And you throw in Set. You compare Wukong to Set. You're just like, I'm gonna whap you and then slow you while this guy munches your face in, double slows you, TP's behind you, slows you again, and keeps munching on your face. I'll leave him at B, just to be respectful. I think Susanoo is an A+, very played character, right? It's a really solid jungle. It does what you need it to do. It dives mages really well. It destroys mages with dashes and very good disengage. It has the ult is very self-explanatory. Like, you're not gonna miss it, so you guarantee damage. I think that's really important for Susanoo. He has guaranteed damage with the 1 to 3 the ult. So yeah, I leave him at A+. Very simple. Sylvanus, man. I think Sylvanus deserves some love. What do you guys think, chat? the only reason I can't leave him at S is because he's very easy to pick off. But once you get to the mid late game, like, you engaging on Sylvanus is a problem, because if you engage on him, he's gonna get a 3-man ult, and he's gonna be way tankier, and it's not as fun. And with the passive and double root, it's really hard to get on top of him. You have to beats to get on top of him. Sylvanus A+. Sylvanus B+? Nah, no way, bro. Sylvanus can't be B+. Nah, he's not a niche pick. Terra, I think Terra sits there with him. A+. Really strong engage, really strong ult, good peel as well, good dive. I think Sylvanus and Terra sit pretty close together right now. Thanatos B, niche pick, execution, high early pressure. It's pretty simple for Thana. Morrigan S. I don't want to put her at S+, but Morrigan is an S for sure. She can be S+, depending on the on the lineup she's going against, but usually I would say most of the time she's an S character. I mean, you know what Morrigan does. The invis is nutty. Maybe the nerf to mask hurts her a lot, because you know, before you didn't really get punished for going mask, but now with taking so much damage, you do get punished. But we'll see how that goes. I can't say yet without seeing it. So I think Morrigan will sit here at S. Thor. I mean, Thor's been what Thor's been. He is SS. Why is he not S+, right, or S? A lot of people could ask. I mean, you can, so before, how did you guarantee Thor's damage? I mean, I played you guys see my YouTube videos. I've played a lot of fucking Thor, and the reason was you had to hit the raw double tap, you have to hit the even the stun double tap auto cancels always have to be there to maximize damage. But with that changed, why? Because now you have that thunder on his ult, electricity plus a spin, so you max spin, you max ult. And now you're doing millions of damage by just being around people. And that changes because now his damage is guaranteed. Compared to before, Thor, if you fucking didn't land the double tap, you felt it on your damage. You felt a lot weaker. You felt like you couldn't be a true assassin. So his DPS is way higher, especially with a Thor change on the spin. So if you ult spin, you do everything that the old Thor did. And then that's without using hammer for engage or extra damage or disengage. So Thor is stronger, and he deserves to be an SS because of those changes. Thoth, I think right now is an S, man. He's been doing really good. The changes to his 1 have been really good. More damage to if you hit the same person with the 1, or if you change hitting people, you lower the cooldown, if I'm not mistaken. So it complements for both ones, right? If you hit the same person and or hit different people. Tier is kind of an A, kind of a good tank with control, but late game you feel a little bit weaker. You can get focused during your fearless, but his early mid game is strong, so we'll keep him at A. He's kind of with like in the Bologna field. Even though we don't see Uller, man. Uller, you guys watch my Uller, but I think Uller in all reality is an A+ character. He's a very solid hunter. He can go mid, he can go hunter, and he can pop off. He has that mechanical advantage, right? If you pop off mechanics, it will show in your gameplay, but it's an A+ in reality. Vemana. I think Vemana's an S. 100%. Very little counters to him, right? Like, he's going to do what Vemana does. Lots of damage, slow, backline dive. You can get all the counter healing in the world. Adding the shield to Vemana's ult was something really big that a lot of people are undermining, and I think makes him very strong. He can carry games. Vulcan A+, no doubt. It could be A or A+. I think we'll leave him at A+, because I think with mask change, I think mask. All right, so before A+, because you could do the mask build and be very annoying and very hard to kill, but now with mask being nerfed, you don't want to build mask ever, and now it simplifies him to one build, and that build is doing full damage, and I think that taking different routes can be a little bit hard, but I don't think he goes to B because Ethereal Staff is really good on him. His turret is always hitting people, and it becomes a lot tankier. It makes it tougher to kill him. I Think Bellona deserves more than an A? No. She's fine at A. X-Ball got nerfed pretty hard. He's a very niche pick. Ult got a lot weaker. It did hurt him a good amount. He does do good damage, but outside of that, he's just kind of... If his ult doesn't effectively do a lot, then he's kind of useless compared to the other hunters. Jing 10, B. Jing 10 can be in different ways. I think Jing 10 is a fine A. Good disengage, very hard to kill as a support, and he can disengage when he wants. He can engage when he wants. He's a good beads puller. I think it's a good spot. A is a good spot for him. I think Jean Kui is probably S+. Jean Kui is really good with the new items. Ethereal, really good for him. I even think Shamans is going to be really good for him again. A little bit CD. He's very hard to kill, and if you do kill him, he's going to hurt your team really bad, kind of like the way Hebo does it. But Jean can also be thrown in Hunter, solo, or mid. Big, I think that's something really important. How flexible is the god? Emir goes to a B. YB+, he's a very niche god. Whether if you need frontline, right, that's cool. But now you need someone to wall off. You need at least 3 or 4 people to wall off for him to be effective. You know, split up the team fights, split up the map. But if there is no people, if there is a lot of jumps, then Emir becomes very shitty. And Zeus kind of sits in the same spot. B. Doesn't really... Just does a lot of damage, but easy to kill. He could even be in the B spot. B+ or B. He just does a lot of damage, but very easy to kill. That's it. That's literally Zeus. I think B+ is fine. And that's the tier list, boys and girls.